I don't either. Well, now that you said that, I'm going to be thirsty.
And we're live. And Jess is the only one who's like ready to go live with her water. Jackie and I were just saying, "Oh man, where's my water?" Both of us forgot.
No.
I'm always ready.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody.
What's up, party people? Today we've got Jess Campbell.
Hi.
I was trying to remember how we met.
We met because I was a middle school technology teacher and I was using Brain Buffet and I kept emailing you. And saying, excuse me, Mr. Rob, did you know that at 1 minute and 32 seconds there's a blip in the audio and no one can hear what you're talking about? And you were like, wow, you're really detailed. And then,
Yeah, because people might have noticed that this guy, not so detailed. It's a little more loosey-goosey if I'm doing things.
But you surround yourself with
I do, yeah.
Detail-oriented team members who keep you in line, i.e. Jackie.
I know, yeah.
That's
I
true.
keep telling Jackie she's basically Brain Buffet at this point because I'm just some idiot that shows up when Jackie tells me to be somewhere. Just tell me what to talk about 5 minutes before I gotta go, and then I'm good.
Well, I think what's funny is sometimes people will ask something. I'll be like, "Oh, I don't know. Let me check Rob's email." And they're like, he doesn't check that. At this point, it should just be forwarded to me, probably.
I check it on my birthday. I check it on Thanksgiving. I check it on New Year's and April 4th.
I check it when I tell you to open it. I'm like, hey, can you open your email, please? There's an email that you need to read.
Yeah. Well,
that's the perks of being the boss guy.
The company's bigger.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, it's a company. It's not a classroom website.
Yeah.
I mean, it is technically, I guess, for many more people
for many classrooms
than just you. Yes. That's the difference.
Well, speaking of classrooms, Jess, tell us about your classroom because I know your program. You're at a high school now.
I'm at a high school. Yep. I made a whole thing. Can I share my thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because if you don't know me by now, I would never ever show up to anything as informal as it may be without a PowerPoint of talking points.
Just like me.
You mean show up with Jackie who has the PowerPoint and talking points?
Exactly right.
I think you might have to share your screen again because I don't see it here at the bottom.
I will do that.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. You got it now?
I do.
Got it.
All right. So I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts about COVID teaching, and just so you know, I can't see you anymore. So if you're talking to me, like I can't see you guys. COVID teaching and what this is all going to look like in my classroom. And I kind of had like an epiphany a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it might be helpful to share with everybody else who's out there, just because it kind of transformed my perspective. And so if it can help anybody else feel a little bit less stress, I think that's good for all of us. So teaching in the time of COVID, it's going to be really, really strange and really crazy. So first of all, about me, my name is Jess Campbell, obviously. So I teach digital multimedia, and I also teach AP Computer Science principles. So I've got lots of nerdy kids in my room all day, and it's pretty awesome. At a school called Buchholz High School in Gainesville, Florida. And I'm an Adobe education leader, and I'm also the Brain Buffet Dreamweaver trainer. So if my voice sounds annoyingly familiar because you've watched all my videos, that's where you know that voice from. What was the best is that I didn't tell my kids I had done that project. So one of them logged in and they're like, "Miss Campbell, is that you?" And I was like, "Yeah." So that was and I'm a former middle school English teacher, actually. My master's degree is in English education, so I don't really know much about web development or about technology other than what I've learned as a hobby and what I've learned from Rob and from all the other Adobe resources that I've found on the edX. And this is my 13th year teaching, so I hope that I have a little bit of expertise that I can share. So here's what I was going to tell you about, okay? COVID is basically going to guarantee failure this year. Have you guys thought about that at all? I feel like we are being thrown under the bus, and we are 100% ready to just and everything. Like, we're not going to stay in school. We're going to get sent home. Nothing's going to go the way that we think it will. Our labs are disheveled. We can't do in-person learning. How are we supposed to do teamwork? Everything that I normally plan is already a failure, and we haven't even started yet. So it's not even like failure is not an option. It's actually the only option that we have at this point. And we are starting from a place of like what at my school almost for some people feels hopeless and full of anxiety. People are kind of freaking out. So what I was thinking about this week is that there's actually a lot of freedom in that failure because we've already failed starting off. So at this point, the bar set so low, we don't have anything to lose, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
taking chances.
Exactly. You know, when like the debates that are going to come up soon for the presidential election and everyone's like, they play the game of like trying to set the bar low. That way your performance looks better. That's been done for us. The bar at this point is so low. There literally is nothing that we could do to make this any worse other than to just not show up for work, which hopefully everybody's going to still at least try. So when I was thinking about all this failure stuff, and it made me feel very empowered and very free because I feel like I can try things in my classroom that I've been afraid to try for kind of a long time. When I came to this high school and I left my middle school, which is an amazing school, I left because I wanted to grow something bigger. And I've been there for 2 years, and I'm just I've been a little bit hesitant to really jump into the vision that I had for my program. And I feel like this is my year to just let it go and do it, because if it fails, I can just blame it on Corona. Well, that was Corona year. Nothing worked. No big deal. And then if it does work, then I know it's really awesome because it survived. And I feel like I can try things that I wouldn't have tried before. So freedom to failure, freedom to innovate. You can do new things this year. And I thought of some ideas for what that might look like. This is my lab. It was my lab at the beginning of last year. Rob, you might recognize Matt Dombrowski in the picture up on the board. Can you see him? Yeah, Matt's another Adobe education leader, and he was speaking to my class that day, and I was sort of standing in the back just listening, and I snapped this picture of how the lab was set up. You can see it's kind of yellow and very, very large. It's an amazing space, but it was supposed to be a media center. And then they converted it to a computer lab that has been abused over the years and very dirty. So one thing that I decided to jump into for innovating was I'm not just going to start a new program. I'm going to totally brand my class, brand what I'm doing at my school. And so I started coming up with some mural ideas. And this is on the far wall in my classroom. It's still in progress. The astronaut still has a few holes to be filled in, and there's some details coming on his astronaut suit. But I'm really excited about this idea of space being limitless, just like, you know, this school year can be limitless for us as well. And then on the other wall, I painted this.
What? You did this?
I did this. What do you think?
That's awesome.
That's stinking awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that.
I mean, I know how to do that in Photoshop. I don't know how to do it with paint.
I did do it in Photoshop. Actually, I did it in Illustrator. And then I took a projector and I projected it up on the wall and just traced it.
Nice.
Wow, that is.
Do you have to flip the image before you put it up on the wall?
No.
Or it just projects it?
It just projects it like with just, you know, regular, just like you would project to an old school projector, not a smartboard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay.
So it went up easy. And then that astronaut was drawn by one of my students. And he's been coming in and helping me draw paint the artwork and stuff like that. But yeah, that's all done in Illustrator. The font came from the Adobe brand fonts that they have featured right now on the font website. It's one of their branding fonts that they put together, and it's a really nice font. I don't remember what its name though.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, and this takes up a whole wall, like a whole half of a wall in that giant lab, if you look back at the original picture. So pretty much from the giant picture of Matt on the left all the way to that corner, that's that big.
Wow.
So when you walk in, it just smacks you in the face with like possibility and dreams. And then this one's in the back right corner. And there's some stars and some galaxies I'm going to paint on there too. I'm still working on it. Not quite done yet, but that's where we are so far.
You're getting lots of good comments from people.
Oh, yeah?
Raph says it adds a lot of color to the room. Matthias says it's fantastic. And Danielle says looks so great.
Thanks.
And Rat's again saying he's loving it because you have Windows. Oh, I think he means not on the computer, but in the lab.
Yes, I do have Windows in my lab. And actually, it's unusual at my school because it was built in the 50s and probably 90% of the classrooms don't have Windows. So I just have this really amazing space that I'm super blessed to have been able to turn into this. It's going to be a media lab, and I've got a production space over in the corner where the 3D printers are there now, and we've got poster printers coming. And this year I'm going to buy a Glowforge and some other fun toys that we can actually like produce stuff in there. And I've got other big plans that we're going to try this year. I've been afraid to try that too, and we're going to go for it this year.
Yay! Wow, it looks great.
Exciting.
Thanks. But it doesn't have to be something that's on your wall, because a lot of teachers can't paint their rooms. This is like not going as fast as it's going faster than I'm clicking. Lots of people can't paint their rooms, and lots of people, the school year's already started. Okay, yes, I spent the last 3 weeks painting my classroom. So school year starts tomorrow. What do I do now? Other ways that you can innovate this year and just totally be unafraid to fail. Just throw yourself into something and be willing to try it. New online tools. I don't know about you guys, but in my county, all of a sudden, just this week, we all learned that we're going to be using Canvas as our district-wide LMS. It's the first time they've ever mandated that we use an LMS. And some teachers are still moving from textbooks and worksheets, and they've never used really digital assignments at all. And all of a sudden, they're going to have to learn a whole new LMS. So maybe that's something that you go big. If that's where you're starting from, if you're being told you have to do something, that can be an opportunity to innovate right there. Just learning something brand new that you didn't know before. I've never used Pear Deck before, and I've seen Flipgrid, but I've never actually used it in my class. I'm going to try it this year and just see how it goes. There's so many great new projects that people could try. One thing that I want to try different this year is I always have my students put portfolios together, but I'm going to work really hard to get some kind of a Zoom professional portfolio review where I've got a couple of relationships now with some marketing companies here in Gainesville. I'm going to ask some of them to Zoom into the class and actually let my kids show them their work and get feedback. So that's a new idea I'm going to try. I want to try Character Animator this year. I'm going to try XD with my AP Computer Science kids because we do app development in that class. So I'm going to have them plan their projects in XD, which I haven't ever tried before. I want to try sketchnoting this year. I showed it last year for one little thing and they thought it was cool, but then we never really ran with it because I kind of lost track of it. So that's on my list of things. I'm the painting project that I'm doing. I'm branding the market of my program. So that's a big thing too. And my other thing that I had meant to do this week, but I got distracted with my mural is, have you guys heard about the new Adobe Creative Educator program?
Yes.
Yeah, so I really would encourage anybody who is a teacher, whether you teach multimedia or you teach, math or science or social studies, to try getting involved with that program because it's for all teachers and it's taking you and giving you resources to be more creative in your instruction. And it's an ideal opportunity to get ideas that will be something that can grow your instruction and change the way that you teach completely. And the content that they're providing is actually really, really good. So I'm excited about that program too.
Nice. Danielle popped in and said that she loves Flipgrid, and she says you're going to love it too.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. I know Claudio uses a lot of Flipgrid stuff too. He's a big Flipgrid guy, and I've seen some of his stuff, and I definitely do want to try it this year. So one thing I was also thinking about too this week was all the barriers. We have so many barriers this year with COVID. The biggest one for me is going to be, what do I do with my kids that aren't in my classroom? Because a lot of my ideas center on having teamwork and collaborative group projects. And how do we do group projects when we're not all together? So everybody has to think about what the barriers are going to be. And you just have to commit yourself to not letting the barriers stop you. I'm not going to look at this year and say, oh, can't do teamwork. I guess I'm not going to do agile project management anymore. I'm going to figure out a way to make it work. We're going to do it with Zoom. The kids are going to team together in Zoom. And that's the way professionals are working right now. Mm-hmm. Right? And aren't we supposed to be getting them ready for industry?
And we have just as good a chance at figuring out how to do it as industry, because industry got thrown into all this in the last minute too.
Exactly.
Right.
We're all together. Yeah, it's such a.
So looking at the industry methods and how people are working remotely is actually a great way for us as educators to both innovate ourselves and get kids ready for what they're going to have to do when they get into this new 21st century post-COVID workplace. So I think it's actually a really important skill, and we got to go for it. And if it fails, it's okay. It's not a big deal because who cares, right?
Yeah. Matthias is saying that it's good to see you're so stoked about this new school year and full of ideas.
Hey man, I'm trying, because at this point you can either laugh about it and just go all in, or like devolve into a crying mess with wine. Not that that hasn't also happened in this house.
I was gonna say, I was like, I do that a lot sometimes.
And it's important to like know that you don't always have to have all the answers, and that it's okay to cry and be disappointed. And in some cases, like last year, like when we went home, I was in grief. Like I grieved the end of last school year because I had ideas that I never got to do, and kids that I lost that graduated and now they're gone, and I never got to say goodbye to them. And, you know, that was really hard. But I'm not going to let it stop this year. Like I'm not going to let the barriers that we have in front of us make this whole year a wash. I still feel like there's room to innovate. I feel like if we take advantage of the freedom that we have to not have everything perfect because no one expects it to be, it can actually let us do things that we might not have tried under normal circumstances.
Yep.
Like this multimedia internship. See how I'm leading up to telling you about my plan? This is a very carefully planned PowerPoint.
That was a well-constructed segue. I
Thank
commend
you
you on your efforts.
So this internship is something that I've had as kind of a dream that seeded itself when I became an Adobe education leader and saw what all the other teachers who do what I do already really, really well. And I'm just kind of like trying to fake my way until I make it. This is an opportunity for kids who would not normally get hired by graphics media companies. They don't hire interns. I've asked web development companies in my city and marketing companies, you know, can I get you some high school kids for internships? And all of them said, no, our internships are really just for college kids. And I was like, well, that sucks. I mean, what are my kids going to do? I really want them to get some good experience. And what we're doing in class is simulation, but it's not the same, you know? So then I thought, why don't I just turn my own class into a business? And then my class will be their internship. And so this year, my CTE program found this curriculum called Virtual Enterprise. And it's literally a nonprofit that helps classrooms build businesses like in the class itself. The whole class becomes the business and the students become employees. And everything that you do in the class is supposed to simulate a real business environment, even down to the point where kids every week or every 2 weeks, they actually get a paycheck. And through the curriculum, there's an actual like online economy where all the other classes around the world that participate in this program, they all buy and sell stuff from each other, and they can like take their paychecks and go online, and there's a whole budget thing, and it's all part of this curriculum that I'm going to implement into my multimedia class. Isn't that wild? The other thing that they do is they have you divide your classes into teams. Or actually the VE program calls them departments, and you've got like a finance department and a marketing department and an HR department. And I'm kind of taking that and I'm putting my own spin on it because my kids don't take my class because they want to learn finance. Let's all be honest, math. So we're going to do creative design teams instead. And our roles are going to be things like project manager, tech support specialist, and creative director. And they're going to actually like form their own little media marketing pod. And then I've talked to a bunch of other stakeholders at my school, like our SGA and our sports teams, about working with me to give them actual marketing jobs for the school. So we've got like a guaranteed client for anything that we could want to design. We're going to be doing stuff like homecoming invitations. We're going to design those and hopefully print them with our new equipment that we're getting. We have a school store, so we're going to be developing products that the kids can sell in the store. Because right now, the school store, like they contract with a designer to do all of their t-shirts, and they hire everything through there. I have a vinyl cutter and a t-shirt printing press. Like we're going to start doing them here at our school, and that way the kids are getting the experience of selling stuff and making stuff and filling orders and learning what sells, learning what design catches people's attention, and marketing their stuff, like with our news and our posters and things like that. The drama team is talking to me about doing some like animation stuff with them and doing posters for their, hopefully we'll get to do some posters for their shows. Like we're going to be like the media specialists that market everything in our school to the kids. And we're going to produce it ourselves in the production lab that we're putting together.
It's incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Brain Buffet will come in because it sounds like a lot, and I feel like the biggest thing that's going to get me in trouble is trying to do too much here. So the way I'm going to structure it is, they should spend a couple of hours a week working on video tutorials. It'll all be self-paced, and that's where Brain Buffet is really going to help me make this happen, because those video tutorials are there, packaged and ready to go. The kids can access them on their own schedule. And if I give them, the soccer team needs headshots for the seniors, I can put a team on that, and the other couple teams can, work through some professional development, just like teachers have to do professional development. That's their skill growth, continuing to add new skills to their portfolio, kind of in between jobs at their own pace when they don't have anything else to do, because it's all video based and it's ready to go. See, isn't that brilliant?
It's very cool.
I'm super
Love it.
That's how Jackie and I started it too. It's just a way to take the day-to-day off of your plate so you can do these big things, and the kids can learn without you having to micromanage it. And then you can start building these type of projects in.
I think the goal for every teacher that uses Brain Buffet, me personally, my goal, I don't know if this is your business goal, Rob, because I still really value Brain Buffet as a part of my curriculum. The goal of every teacher that uses this software should be to use it as a starting point to grow bigger projects that kids can feel ownership over. Because if they're just following along with Rob or with me or, the other trainers that are doing videos, if they're just following along with us and they don't ever create anything on their own, they're checking boxes for a software application and they might be earning their certification, but does the certification really mean that they can do anything?
Right.
We've had that conversation.
We were just talking about it. Yeah. It's so important that like I think Jackie and I did it. Well, I don't know if we did it the same, but in my class, if the kids just went through the project that was assigned, that's a C-. Like that's a 70. Yeah. And now use whatever skills you got to do your own cool, groovy thing. And that's the way to your A. So it's so great to be able to lay it out and then let them roll forward.
Yeah, it was the ACF model. We both use like an ACF model. So if you did everything
for? Oh, see the letter grade. Sorry, I got it. There's a delay on the internet.
It was Corona. We did an ACF model. So if the students just followed along with the tutorials and that's all they did, they got a C. And then if they did something creative with the stuff they learned, then they got an A. And if they didn't meet the requirements, it was an F. It was really simple way to grade. And some of the kids loved that. And some of the kids despised it. They were like, this isn't fair. I'm like, I should get a B. Like, for what? I don't get a B. When I go in front of my boss, I either get, you're doing your job, you're doing your job well, or you're not really doing your job. So it's what we kind of based it off of.
And I was so sick of the kids that say, it's like, because the way I graded, I'd walk up and I'd be like, what kind of grade do you deserve on this project? And the kids would be like, I think an 87.2. I'm like, show me the 0.2. Where's the 0.2, you ding dong? I don't even know what you're talking about. So,
I love that idea of letting kids like negotiate for their grades, especially as part of like this business environment that I'm trying to put into my class. Because when they have ownership of their grades, they know that they're going to have to justify their work when they come up to talk to you. So they're more aware of what they're putting into their work in the first place, because they know that they're going to have to answer for it. And then it also gives them so much accountability over like which direction they're going to go for a project, because they know that they're going to have to stand up and like face-to-face be accountable for what they did. And I think that's a really valuable skill. And it also teaches them too to value themselves. Like if you believe that you earn an A, fight for it, because someday they're going to have to fight for a promotion or fight for a raise. And if they need to justify their work in order to do that, that's a skill almost to kind of sell yourself and make sure that you're getting what you deserve and knowing your value. Who's talking to about that? I think I was talking to Lisa.
They were some of like the best teaching moments in my class, because sometimes you have this kid that's doing incredible work. Like he did the project, they did go above and beyond. And everything's beautiful, incredible attention to detail, and they're giving themselves a C. And then and those are the kids I had to sit down and like, listen, you need to learn to value what you bring to the table. Like you need to learn to see it. And for some personality types, for some people, I'm like that. It's really hard to see I did good. I can see everyone else did good. Hard to see that I did. It's important to help those kids learn that, because the workplace will take advantage of a worker like that. They'll just
Absolutely.
burn them up.
Yeah.
So it was really, those were some of the best talks of just when it was way off,
Right.
It was really good to have those talks. And then, of course, the other kids just like, not everything you do is an A because you did it. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. It's just because your name is on it.
Right. Yeah. None
Jackie,
of
you
us
want
are
to
in
take my
love
screen
with
share down
you
now?
as much as you're in love with yourself. So let's talk about the reality, how this might work.
Jackie, you can take my screen share down now.
Oh,
Okay.
And then I can see you guys again.
yay.
So the other thing I was just thinking about too, Rob, you made me think, was that the thing I was saying earlier about like letting failure be a given and therefore that gives us freedom because who cares? What if that was like the baseline where we started our classes from too? Like what if that also applied to our kids? Like what if they knew that no matter how badly their projects ended up, they could still have an opportunity to justify the work that they did. And, like not everything that we design ends up working out, but they only get a week to work with it. And it's not like we're asking them to go back and revise it indefinitely, like in some places, like a completely failed project that maybe doesn't look so great, but the kid comes up and says, yeah, well, I tried to use this effect, but then when I did it, it kind of got really pixelated and then my computer crashed. So then I tried to do it again. So then I added this other thing. And if they can like walk through that process, like, maybe that justification is valuable too. Maybe that's where the B comes in.
Well, and we're all seeing it here too. Like we're seeing it now with, companies like Adobe and Certiport and Pearson and everything else where they're not ready. The school district isn't ready. The teachers aren't ready. Like nobody's ready. And, to show the kids, look, you get credit. You get credit for showing up and working hard. You get credit for showing up and making something happen. And sometimes it doesn't hit the deadline that everyone thought would be met. That's the real world. Like, and then you figure out what's our strategy moving forward. I'm challenged when it comes to the teachers that do it. It's in on time or it's an F or a 0 or whatever. It's like, man, that is not. I've never experienced that in the real world. Well, maybe elections, but outside of elections.
But I mean,
Well,
how
I
much
always
effort
did
does
that
it really
too.
take to show up for an election? Like you have to just go and, I guess some people end up having to wait in line for a long time, but in theory, it should be a pretty easy 10 to 15 minute, go check your boxes and you should be pretty done.
Yeah. But you
But
can't
you're
do
right.
that.
I've never been, grades, even like they tell us grades have to be posted by 11:59, but all you got to do is just go talk to the database lady and be like, hey, Sharon, here's a box of chocolate. Sorry. Can you read my grades for me?
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like,
Well, I always had the stance of with the kids that didn't do the grading stuff on time. I wouldn't accept it. Like, I'm not taking this until it's right. So go do it. And so they would do it. And those kids that would, if they got a C and they didn't like it, I would have kids and they would go back to their desk and like try to do something real quick and come back. And I was like, there's no way you did enough work in the 5 minutes you were sitting at your desk to jump from a C to an A. Rejected, go. And I told them at one point I wanted to get like a rejected stamp to say, no, I'm rejecting this. Go do it until it's right. Then come back and see me. And they knew that, after it takes a few weeks, obviously, but then they knew, they were like, okay, the school's not going to accept that. So I need to do it right. Like, yeah, it's all I'm asking. Just do it correctly. Right. And then do more. That's all I'm asking.
Nothing drives me crazier than the kids who will sit for a week and work on a project and then they don't turn it in. And when I talk to them about it, they were like, well, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that's like that, Rob.
I resemble that remark.
That's definitely you. That's 100%.
Dude, Jackie said that she was looking through the folders and she's like, I found a whole Acrobat curriculum that you did and recorded, and then we didn't put it up or something I didn't. And I'm
He's got like 3 courses that are not on the site. And I'm like, are you going to like do anything with these courses? He's like, well, I didn't like the thing and this. And he's like rattling off why he didn't put it up on the thing. I'm like, God, it helps no one in these drop boxes.
Man, I'm a ding dong. Kevin and I, Kevin from the Character Animator Show, he and I have been talking. It's like we do the same thing. we beat ourselves up. If any part of the thing is not as good as the most professional thing we've ever seen, then we're just like, this is terrible. I give up, and we just start a new project. It's just so dumb.
Well, and then my thought was, yeah, I'm sorry, Jess.
Okay.
I was just saying, like, I always told Rob, I said, well, I mean, Rob, I used to make tutorials, 10 years ago when I was in the classroom, and my tutorials were always super, they were not as designer as Rob's were. Like, Rob's makes very professional looking designs. And I was like, mine were like invitations to a 5-year-old's birthday party. And granted, that's super convenient now that I have a 5-year-old, but I mean, like, that was my level of design, and still kind of is, because I'm very, I'm into the cartoon look, and that's just my style, which fits in, I'm sure, certain places, but in like the real graphic design world where it's super modern and super everything, that's definitely Rob's. And the stuff he even just does that is, he throws away. I'm like, I wish I could do that. Like, I wish that was just a natural thing that came to me, but it's not as natural. So yeah.
To me, failure is like the nitty gritty part of where all the learning happens.
Right.
And as teachers, we get stuck in this, like, well, you have to make an A, an A is expected, which, I mean, like, it is, but at the same time, if failure isn't normalized, and if we don't make it okay for the kids to fail, and we don't make it okay for them to try again and to accept putting forward something that's not perfect, because either we just need to finish it and get it done and turn it in, or get help with it and make it better until you are happy with it, like, they'll never be able to learn if they're too afraid to even fail.
To try, right. And I think there's a big a disconnect almost, because there's a lot of times this preconceived notion with the failure, which is what I think you're trying to, what you're saying as well, but that you can't come back from failure. Like, once you fail something, it's one of those, like, well, you failed, and that's that. And I can distinctly remember 2 teachers in my life where I didn't do well in a course. And I was an A and B student. So for me, getting any sort of anything lower than a C was like detrimental.
Same.
And I distinctly remember in high school, getting a D in Spanish, and I lost my mind. And I want to say it was one of those types of classes where, like, you got 4 tests, and if you did poorly on one test, that was it. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I can't really remember because it was in high school and it was a long time ago, but I remember begging that teacher with, like, tears rolling down my face, like, please, anything. And they were like line in the sand. And in that class, I had gotten A's and B's up until that point. So there was just no budging this teacher. And it was like, I was dumbfounded. Like, how can that be? So I remember that. And then I also remember, this is probably very embarrassing and shouldn't be something I broadcast, but I remember trying to get my teaching. Yeah, but I'm gonna anyway. Why not? When I was trying to get my teaching certificate in Florida, you have to get certain classes and things in line. And I was in the technology class of all classes, and it was an online course, and there was a section that I completely missed. Like, didn't even open it for some reason. I was just going off of the syllabus that I had, and completely missed 50% of the class. My own fault. I didn't check this one section, and I just didn't think to check the one section. So I got in touch with the teacher, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. And they were like, well, are you already teaching? I'm like, I'm teaching technology. And they would not, again, another teacher that would not budge. In fact, because it was a program, this teacher told me at the end of the class, you know what? You're probably going to fail the program and you won't be able to teach any longer.
Great,
and I was like,
thanks.
And I was like, oh my gosh, oh God, what am I going to do? My career is over. So, like one of those dramatic moments, but I had to talk to the program person, and I had to redo the course, and I ended up being in the same class with the same teacher, and the teacher asked to remove me. So I had to be removed from that class. I was like the bad kid in that class. I was like, I've never I've been the bad kid. So I had to be switched into a new class, which I aced with like 110% because I made sure I got everything correct. But the point is that had I not failed that first class, I wouldn't have known to like fix all my mistakes, you know? Anyways.
I'm really struggling to think of really anything in life where if you fail, there's no other recourse.
Yeah.
Other than in education. Like teachers are the only ones that do it to us. So why are we traumatizing ourselves and these kids by making everything the end all be all? And we should give ourselves the same grace too. Like as a teacher, and like I was saying at the beginning, we're starting off having already failed this year. This year is going to be a wash. It just is. So then how can we innovate based on that? How can we grow? What else can we do to make that not the end? Because we can either just quit and not do it at all, or we can find new paths. That's the way I'm choosing to look at it. Because if I don't, I'm going to have to buy stock in ABC Liquor because that's the only way I'm going to make any money after that. What were you saying, Rob?
Yeah, it's literally like when a teacher gets so focused on the grading, that's literally the opposite of teaching. That's saying no more learning. Nope, this is the end. Here's the judgment call. The only time that we're teaching, the only time that we're educators is when we're saying try again, go farther, move forward. As soon as we say stop, we are no longer educators. We're telling them it's okay to quit learning. You know what? Whatever I covered isn't even all that important because I'm going to just put a 0 and you don't even need to know it. We're just going to go on. That's how valueless it is. It says a lot about us when you got that attitude, it really reflects more on the teacher than the kid.
So do you know what I'm actually thinking about doing in this internship class that I'm putting together for grades? I'm going to have them complete, and this is another way to kind of make that like overwhelming. We're going to have a lot of things going on at one time in there. I'm going to put together what the VE curriculum suggests is like a weekly task list, almost like a clock, like a timesheet. And the kids have to account for how they spend their time every day. And I'm actually thinking that might be the majority of their grade in my class. I'll probably have to give them some kind of assessments because in my experience, giving quizzes really helps the kids prepare for the ACA. If you don't quiz them on those, the ACA is it's gotten so much better, but it's still pretty like task specific, so if you don't drill them on the tasks, they're not going to get there. But the other major part of their grade is going to be accounting for their time. How did you spend your time this week? Tell me about the final product of your project and that kind of stuff, more so than just turning in a graphic and me giving you a A or whatever.
Right. Well, that's almost how we set up the student packets, where it has the little like timesheet, almost kind of like how did you spend your day? Because if you worked, to me, it was always if you did the work and your work didn't turn out, like you said, if your work didn't turn out the way you wanted it to, what did you learn from that? Because maybe tomorrow you try it different, and then you just keep going.
And I think you also have to accommodate too for kids that do things that are more complex. Like I always do a cartoon illustration project and I end up having some kids who draw like, Stewie from Family Guy, who's like all flat shapes and they're done in like 10 minutes. And then I have other kids that will draw Elsa and they may only in a week get her hair done. Right. But that's just as much effort as the other kids put in. So sometimes that time management doesn't look the same for every kid depending on what they choose to create too.
And time management is so hard to teach and grasp, because I was just telling that to Rob today. We talk about a lot apparently, but so it's just so hard, even as an adult, to manage your time correctly. Because I know that some days go by and I'm like, oh, it's like dark outside already. What happened to today? I don't even know what I got done.
Those are the good days, though.
Yes, those are the good days. But it's so hard to teach, because that's a skill that I don't even think some adults have, including myself most days.
As a parent, especially, you can find your days just disappearing into a mess of like, oh, well, what did I do today? Well, I cleaned the kitchen floor 4 times.
Yeah.
Found
I
a
cleaned
pile
the
of pee
kitchen so
behind
that we could
toilet
mess the
that I had to
kitchen.
clean for a week. You can
Yeah. Hashtag boy mom. That's what
exactly.
I
You're
resemble
standing
that
there like, yeah, exactly.
You know, and what was I just thinking? Oh, so what you were just talking about, Jess, we've got this new feature that the team just built into the site that it just blows me away every time I think about it. But it shows who's actually online live in that teacher's classroom at any given time.
Really?
You could do, you could do like a, like a weekend retreat thing, or, like an extra credit thing. And anyone who's on at 8:15 tonight, if I see that you're on and working on the site, then I can throw you extra credit. Like, I just think for where we are right now, where it's very difficult, no, not that we know of, no other system says if a kid's on right now, you can just see that if they're making progress.
Right.
It's a really cool way to add, I think, some real-time kind of integration, and add, what's that, Remind 101 or whatever, I think it's just called Remind Now.
Yeah.
You text and the text to all the kids. Like, all those are super fun ways to make your curriculum extend outside of that hour that you're in there. Because we were talking, where were we? We were talking to Idaho, and they were talking about how, some houses, they have a computer, but only one. And
Yes.
mom and
Right.
dad are telecommuting. The little brother is they don't have 4 computers, and certainly not 4 computers that can run Photoshop.
Right.
Yeah, for some people, this is like a super huge challenge, and
And for people that are going to be on your Wi-Fi, I mean, like, Rob, we've had meetings where, like, people that just use one computer, their Wi-Fi is crashing. So I can't imagine 4 people trying to run a Zoom in a house and not having any issues whatsoever. So yeah. The next few weeks, I think, are going to be an interesting, because I don't know what schools are going back to school. I know Florida, most of them are back in session this week or next week. So,
Jackie, you wanted me to talk about what my school's model is going to be, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't know that this was a term until I just Googled it right before we started our live stream, but it's called high flex. Okay.
Have you heard that, Rob?
Yeah, me either. I thought we just made it up, but apparently it's an actual thing. So high flex means hybrid and flexible, which to me seem
redundant
a little bit, but okay, cool. We're going with it. So basically what that means is, in my classroom, I'll have maybe 10, hopefully only 10, maybe 20 live bodies in the room. And then I'm also supposed to simultaneously have Zoom on, and the kids who are at home from that class period are supposed to log into Zoom and watch class remotely at home. I saw a big question mark just like appear in the air above your head, Rob. Like that face, you're like,
I feel bad for district people too. We talked to some of them, and they're just like, we don't know what to do either. And all the
I know.
And it's like the poor people, like just all of us. There's nobody knows, and I'm just.
That's why I'm saying we are all failing. We are all failing at this. But the question is, do we fail miserably, or do we fail with like enthusiasm?
I wouldn't call it failure. I just say that maybe like all of the safety nets are taken off. Like all of the. And you know what? This is even better illustration. It's like when you go snow skiing, right? Like, when nobody's been down the hill, you can go wherever you want, right? But then once that one dude goes down and lays a track, you try and cross it, you kind of get stuck in it. You can get in that same rut, and then everyone's doing the exact same line. This year, fresh snowfall. So every teacher, all you guys, you can go wherever you want. Like, there's nothing that's going to kind of pull you into that rut of that pattern you've been doing for the last 2 years or 5 years, or God forbid, 10 or 15 or 20 years.
Rob, you're such a snowflake.
It's all, I see what you did. But yeah, so that's all. It's just all so new. Just like you're saying, everyone, when we get on the calls, like a lot of times people are really anxious. It's like, this is honestly so cool, because we all talk about education needed to change, so change it. Take it into your own hands. Like, everything you do, you've got a perfectly good defense, like Jess has been saying the whole time. what I was trying to do didn't work. So I tried this other thing that I thought would work with this weird COVID situation nobody knows how to do anything with.
It's what we want our kids to be able to do, and it's what we need to allow ourselves as educators to do too. It's okay.
Right.
It is going to be okay.
Yeah. And you're doing the best you can with the circumstances you're in. So I think that's the mantra of this year. We should make some posters. We're all doing the best we can in the circumstances we're all in. So,
however, if I hear we're all in this together one more time, I might.
We're in this. I feel like I saw a hashtag that was like #alone together. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that's okay.
Like, I can almost.
We're all alone in this together.
Publix, like when you're walking at Publix, they have these like every 10 minutes, the manager comes on and says, "Shoppers, just to remind you," and they always end it. We're all in this together.
Now I know what to. Every letter that I ever write to Jess from now on, every time I see her, I know exactly.
That's how it's always going to end.
Exactly what to say, because that's the kind of relationship we have.
Well, we are coming up, I think, on 45. See, the time like just goes fly by when you're having fun. It's been about 45 minutes. Are there anybody out there with questions for Jess before we wrap up? Now is the time.
45 minutes when you have a carefully planned PowerPoint presentation to guide you.
Also that. I love it.
You really love
it. And it was such great.
I didn't know you had
I love the
message. PowerPoint.
I love that it was so well put together.
Thank you. It's nice gray slate background, simplistic, but detailed. And
it had great information. If a PowerPoint has great information, I'm all for it. It's when the PowerPoints are super long and super. So it's like, okay, what can I do on my phone? Well, probably like what the kids do. I was
just going to say it's exactly what.
Not really the best student. The kids are like.
Exactly. Same. I mean, half of our faculty meetings, we're all sitting there texting each other.
Yeah.
I always brought I was always terrible. I always brought my laptop and I was like, I've got things I got to do. If I need to pay attention, I'll pay attention. And they're like, okay.
Right. Yeah. Well, and because we ramble at the English department for like 40 minutes, and I'm just like, I could be grading something because
could be doing.
I haven't done any of that all this year, and it's March.
Yeah. Yeah. No, my system was different with that. It was always, if I had the grade in front of me, I'd always make the kid fill out the rubric, and then I would take my laptop with me to the computer they were at, and I would look at it, would approve it, and then I would just put it in the grade book right away. So that was always my work method.
Yes. Brett chimed in with his mantra is "I'm trying." So he says, "I applaud you, Jess. I'll start my year with failure in mind, and thank you for bringing that up."
Yes.
All right. Yay.
I'm trying your mantra.
Yeah. Fail forward.
Yes, I think that's
fail forward.
Ooh, I like that. Fail forward.
Yep.
Where isn't that?
I like that.
I think so. You know who's got a lot of great stuff on this is Mike Scotchko. Mike Scotchko is one of my education heroes. He's themaclab.com, I think. Just Google the Mac Lab and you'll find his site up near the top. He's at Valhalla High in California, but he has a ton of great messaging about that. Just follow him on social, follow his site, follow everything he does. He's a really inspirational creative teacher. We need to get him on the show, actually.
He is a great guy. Yeah. Fail Forward is the name of a book by John Maxwell.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah. Yeah. And
have you read that, Rob? I should read that.
I would like to. Brave Up Book Club?
We could do it. That'd be fun.
Hey, Rob, that could actually be a thing.
That totally could be a thing. I love to read.
With other teachers, our community.
You do it in a Zoom.
Oh, my word. Yes. Seriously, that's a very cool idea.
You're welcome.
I like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Jeff's out. Mic drop.
It's still there. It's still right there. I can see it.
So we have some great presentation from Matthias. Good luck with the school year. And then Danielle says, great job, Jess. Can't wait to hear how your school year goes. Same.
Yeah. We'll have you back.
Yeah.
We'll have you back on.
Cool.
It's
for an update.
Yep.
Finished lab when it's done.
Yeah, we
Well,
got.
I just have. Oh
Tweet
yeah,
it.
I want to
We'll
see the
tweet them out for
pictures.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll retweet, even though none of the kids are on Twitter.
now.
All right. So just a few announcements for everybody who might be watching. Next week, we're doing another live chat, but we're also doing a webinar, another one on Wednesday. So next Wednesday, we're doing a webinar at 5 p.m. and 2 weeks from next Wednesday. So about 2.5 weeks from now, we'll be doing an additional webinar as well. So we wanted to basically create a space for teachers to come in, kind of like an office space, if you will, a space for you guys to come in and ask questions about your account. If you have any questions or help getting set up, we know it's a new platform and there are some people that are just having kind of a more challenging time getting used to the new stuff. So we totally understand because it's new and it's the pandemic and. So we're here to help. We have a registration link. We will be posting it a little bit later today on our Facebook page. So stay tuned for that. And then next week, we will be back with our live chat sometime on a Thursday. But watch for that as well. But we will see you next week if there's nothing else.
All right. Take it
Thank
easy,
you so
everybody.
much, Jess.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.